Hi, welcome to Embeddable Quick Hits. In this video, we're going to talk about Embeddable's Dashboards as Code feature and how you can use it with Claude code to scaffold your dashboards at lightning speed. Let's get started. Dashboards as Code allows you to create and update embeddables right from your repo without using the no-code builder. From adding components and setting up inputs, to sizing and positioning, to embeddable custom canvas. If you can do it in the builder, you can do it in code. Today, we're going to create a dashboard with a simple YAML file, and then we're going to use the Claude skill that Embeddable provides to rapidly make some changes and enhancements to the dashboard. We begin with the Remarkable Pro boilerplate repository. If you've followed any of our instructions for setting up your workspace, you should already have this. If you haven't made it that far yet, we suggest running through the Getting Started documentation before circling back to this tutorial. We're going to create a new YAML file. We recommend keeping these in /source/embeddable.com/dashboards, but as long as the file ends in .embeddable.yml, it should be picked up by the builder regardless of location. I'm going to name my file sample1.embeddable.yml. From here, we could have Claude do most of the work, but let's start by doing things manually so we understand what's happening before turning things over to the robot overlords. We're going to build a simple embeddable with 2 KPIs and a bar chart, nothing fancy. We'll use the default Spotify data models that Embeddable comes with, but this would apply to your own models as well. We'll need 3 things: a basic set of dashboard data, a list of data sets, and a list of widgets, which is how we refer to components in the YAML. We could also add variables, interactions, custom canvas directives, and more, but for this tutorial we're keeping things simple. Let's start with the basics. Pretty uncomplicated, right? The most important thing to remember is that in YAML, indentation really matters, so you'll need to follow the layout in this code exactly in order to keep things working. With that in mind, let's create a dataset by adding a few items below that line. That's all we need. We could add filters here, but again, we're trying to keep this simple. Let's move on to the actual components. Underneath the widgets line, we're going to create our first KPI chart. This one's not too complex. This tells the builder to use the KPI chart number pro component, position it at the top left, and make it 4 units wide, which is 1/3 of the dashboard width, and 12 units tall. You'll get a feel for heights as you work with dashboards as code more, but 4x12 units works out to a decent-sized KPI chart. We then give it a handful of inputs. We configure the dataset, the measure to be displayed, and the title to display above that measure. Note that we're seeing a lot of value type value lines. The other option for value type is variable, but that's outside the scope of this tutorial. You can always check out our documentation for full details. Let's add a second KPI widget. This goes directly below the first. A line break for padding and readability is totally fine, and should be on the same indent level inside of the widgets section. It looks like this. This is very similar to our first KPI, but there's 2 important things to note. The first is that while the dimensions are the same, the component is positioned at x4. This makes sense, since the first component starts at x0 and is 4 units wide. So units 0, 1, 2, and 3 will be filled up by the first KPI. The second KPI will start at unit 4 and then also take up 5, 6, and 7. We're not going to put anything in units 8 through 12 in this tutorial, at least not on the same horizontal line, but you absolutely could. The second thing to note is that we've added sub-inputs to our measure. This is because we want to specify that the measure is a currency in US dollars, and that it should always display 2 decimal places, even if the value is something like 4.00 or 4.10. We don't want that to just display, for example, $4.1, as that's not how US currency is typically shown. Let's save our file and take a look at our dashboard. I've already got my development server running, so changes have automatically happened in my browser as we updated the file. I just need to switch over and voila, we have 2 KPI components. Nice. Let's add that bar chart. Back to VS Code. Again, on the same indentation level below widgets, add the following. As you can see from the position values, we're starting this one back on the left, but bumped down below the 2 KPI components. It's worth noting that the width and height values start at 1, while the position values start at 0. This is why our Y position is 12. Because the KPIs are 12 units tall, but since their position starts at 0, that means they end at 11. So the bar chart starts immediately after that, at 12. We're using the same dataset and even the same measure as the first KPI, but using a dimension of listened date, which will give us a chart organized by date. We use the config option on this input to set a granularity of month, which will cause the chart to render 1 bar per month rather than, for example, a bar per day. Save the file and let's switch back to our browser. It's auto-reloaded again, and now we can see the bar chart underneath our KPIs. From here, we're going to let Claude take over. I'm going to do 2 things. The first is I'm going to squeeze the bar chart to half width and turn it into a line chart. The second is I'm going to add a pie chart breaking down listens by age group. We're going to do that by telling Claude exactly what we want and letting it do the work. I use the VS Code plugin, but you could do this via the command line, web UI, or however you prefer to access agents. Here's my prompt. Claude will do its thing, reading the existing dashboard and the skill files for context before making any changes. It will dive into the component code as necessary to get a picture of how they work, and then generate the YAML accordingly. I've sped this up in editing, but it took less than 2 minutes to figure things out, and that's starting from fresh context. If it's already made some edits, it's even faster. Here's what it changes the bar chart to. And here's the new pie chart. And here's what they look like in the browser. Pretty impressive. This is barely the tip of the iceberg. With dashboards as code, you can do everything the no-code builder can do, with or without the help of agents. You can also keep your dashboards in version control, gain better access control, quickly clone and adjust existing dashboards or components, and iterate quickly while testing. If you'd like more information on dashboards as code, you can check out our documentation. We've also got a community Slack you can join where we're happy to answer your questions. See you next time.